Good morning, friends. Welcome to all of you to yet another version of Addavantage. Today we have Devaj Jhunjhunwala and Amit they will be talking about outsourcing your kitchen. So first of all, I want to wish you all a very happy Independence Day in advance and happy celebration for Amrut Mahotsav of our Independence Day. I am Ravi Lalpuria. I am in place of Neeraj Maheshwari today. He was absent due to some personal reasons. So it is often said health is wealth, and there is this young guy who is making a lot of wealth out of other people's health. We have Devaj Jhunjhunwala, a young chartered accountant, all of 26 years of age, co-founder of Darzee.com. He's going to speak to us about outsourcing your kitchen. When I was doing research on him, what I found is, on a lighter note, that he is one of the youngest and most eligible bachelor in Marwari Circle, Mumbai. So you can talk about fooddaji.com, you can ask him recipes, menus, and also his biodata. We have a very great moderator today for us. He's a brilliant chartered accountant, brilliant, super brilliant, and super brilliant player in the private equity, and super fit guy. He runs 18 kilometers every Sunday. I also run 18 kilometers, but that is the cumulative of all my runnings in a year. So we have Super Amit Dalmia, Senior Managing Director of Blackstone, who will be the moderator for the program today. Amit, over to you.
Thank you, Ravi. Good morning, friends. A very, very warm welcome to all the family members of Gitanjali Express. Thank you for taking out time on a Saturday morning to join Addavantage. Friends, all of us have seen the evolution of startup ecosystem in India, which has become the hotbed of startup. Last year itself, India added 38 unicorns. And before that, if you look at it cumulatively, in the history of the country, we have created 55 unicorns. So we created in 2021 as many unicorns as we would have done in the entire history of the country. And total value of this startup ecosystem is $330 billion, which is 10% of the listed market cap in India. Just a comparison that in US and China, they contribute to less than 5%. So while there's so much buzz and excitement around this space, but also we know from newspapers, etc., that in recent times, there has been funding winter, and suddenly there's a lot of focus on profitability of startups. So, just from growth, etc., people have started talking about profitability. Against this backdrop, we have a startup founder today who has built a profitable business in a very short span of time without raising any external capital. So it's a rare breed of startup, absolutely bootstrapped. Against this backdrop, let me extend a very, very warm welcome to Devaj. It is indeed heartening to interact and learn from a young, bright achiever. A CA by profession, Devaj is co-founder of Darzee.com and has been recognized by none other than Forbes Asia in under 30 leaders. In a short period of time, what they have achieved is really marvelous and something which we look forward to. So Devaj, over to you. It'll be great to get to know you better and hear your journey.
Thank you so much, Amitji. Thank you for all the, I don't know if I deserve what you said, but yeah, thanks a lot. Good to hear. Yeah, and good morning to everyone from Gitanjali Express. I'm really honored to come here and speak to you all about my journey. Firstly, I love the name, right? So Gitanjali Express, normally you don't pay so much importance to, like mode of transport, so to say, right? But then I'm sure it played such a big role in all of our lives. And I assume Raviji was telling me that the group is formed out of most people who shifted to Bombay from Kolkata. So I'm sure it played a big role. So I love the name. But anyways, I'll kick this off. So yeah, like Amitji said, I'm one of the co-founders of Food Darzee. I'll start off by talking a little about myself, about how, as a few years before Food Darzee, how I got into it and why we started this. So I'm a CA by profession, right? So that wasn't always the original plan. In school, I always thought that I would either pursue some career in science or something. Like physics always interested me. But eventually, like I am from a business family background, right? So eventually commerce just made more sense. Like whenever somebody would ask me like in 10th, Acha, if you're doing science, what would you do after, let's say 12th or something like that, I had no answer. Like the answer always was, okay, I'll figure it out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out. So I mean, then commerce just made more sense. It kept my options open, could train myself to get into business or decide to do something else. So yeah, that's how, even though not planned, but a happy decision making or good fate that I went this route and did my CA. So during my CA, like uh, I was doing my BCom, right? So in NM. So unfortunately, people do not take the undergrad studies that importantly. Like when you're doing CA, the most of the focus is on CA. It gave me a lot of time to focus on sports. I used to play every sport in college. That's when I really got into fitness for the first time. I was always a fat kid, like till I graduated from school and all. So didn't always focus on nutrition. Didn't really care much about eating healthy and all that. But when I really got into sports, that's when I saw the need for nutrition, about the need for being fitter, so that one, obviously it improved performance in sports, right? So that's the first time I really got into sports. I would play every sport for college. The plus side, another small plus side was you didn't have to attend college then, like they gave you attendance for playing sports. So that was a good thing, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that's when I really started, looking into what is healthy food, how to eat healthy. That's when I started doing my own research about it, and what I should actually be eating. And that's the first time I realized that how wrong a notion most people have about healthy food. Like when you think about healthy food, you generally think of soup, salads, or you just think the food is going to be boring, right? But that's not really the case. So I'll get into this more a bit later into my talk. But yeah, that's how it first started, my journey into researching about this. But yeah, a little more about my CA journey, right? So in the course of completing my CA course, you obviously have to do articleship. So my articleship was in EY, Ernst & Young. So that initially I was a bit skeptical. Like many people would give me pros and cons of either doing it in a big four or a smaller company, and I was in statutory audit. So I was told that it's a sort of a dry area, not a lot of fun and all that. But I honestly really enjoyed my experience there, because that's when I really understood, like in the process of auditing, I'm sure most of you all know, like you really have to understand the business of the company, right? Various processes you have to audit and see the controls, etc. So that's when I really understood that I like doing this. Like I like processes. It just comes naturally to me that, okay, I can think about processes. I can think about a business, and I like setting up processes, right? And that was the first time I really understood what the fundamental of building a business is. They are processes. A business is basically a culmination of various processes, and you have to be process dependent. You can't really be person dependent. So that was one of my key takeaways from my stint at EY, right? You learn about so many businesses, you learn about various processes. So I'm obviously eternally grateful for that because of CA, I got into this. But another very big takeaway from EY was, so because I was in audit, my inherent nature of the job was I had to go to various client locations to, obviously audit them. And so in this phase, like I said, I had started my journey to eating healthy and all. I realized that if I had to eat healthy, I had only two options. Like either I carry food from home, or I figure out what the healthy options are around the client location that I'm at. So both of these were pretty challenging solutions, right? If I have to carry food from home, first you have to think what to eat, have that conversation with mom, acha ye bana de, and then if she has to cook something else apart from what is being made for the family or whatever, then again, that's stressful. And timings are always weird. Like I would leave early morning, 7 a.m. So carrying food before that and all, big pain. And similarly, calling food from restaurants, again, not a very pleasant experience, right? Like figure out what is healthy, what is not healthy, what food you like, always the decision making, ki, acha, aaj kya order kare. You'll probably waste 1 hour thinking what to order. So during this was my first realization that why does a service like this not exist, right? That if you want healthy food and it has to be tasty, why doesn't someone deliver it to us? Like at least based on my research in Bombay, there weren't many people doing it at that time. The closest people doing it always give generic healthy food. When I say generic healthy food, like they would give the same food to everyone. Now, one major thing about healthy food is like what is healthy for me may or may not be healthy for you. Like there is no one size fits all. Everyone's body is different and food has to be personalized. And that much I had learned through whatever research I had done. So there's no way these restaurants which are so-called serving healthy food would, pass the cut. So that was my first realization that okay, this needs to exist, right? And fortunately, like around that time, so this was when my CA was almost getting over. I'd given my finals. I ran into my school friend Siddhant, who is now my partner at Food Darzee. That time he was completing his MBBS. We ran into each other in a common friends party, and I just bounced this idea off him, where like why doesn't this exist? We should do something about this and something like that. So it really, even he was coincidentally, even he was thinking about it because he was in that phase, right? We both were like, I don't know, 22, 23. That time sabko body banani to hoti hai. So we were also, even he was in that phase where he was also trying to build a body for himself, and even he was facing the challenge: how do you get enough protein? In like inherently, Indian food does not have enough protein. Like dal, roti, sabzi, that is probably the staple for most households. So that lacks. It's rich in various things, but it definitely lacks protein. So yeah, even he was facing the same issue. So yeah, luckily I ran into him at a friend's party and we got to talking and we thought that okay, let's do this. So he was, like I said, he was doing MBBS. His mom is a nutritionist, so he was anyways from that background. So it just made sense, right? And my other partner Anirudh, who is my cousin, again during the same time I was speaking to him, and he was always very passionate about food, and he wanted to do something in the everyday food space. Like everyone in any office always complains about food, right? Like I have not met anyone who's happy with everyday food, like in an office cafeteria or if they're ordering from outside. So he really wanted to solve that problem where we can just sort out your everyday meals. So this again clearly fit into what even I was trying to do, what I wanted to do, where get into a healthy food space where we provide personalized healthy meals. So it just made sense. And our fourth partner, Anik, he was Anirudh's batchmate. So again, he's also a CA, Anirudh's also a CA. So basically we have 3 CAs and a doctor, which gave the name to our legal entity, which is 3CAT Hospitality, 3 CAs and a doctor. Yeah. So Anirudh was speaking to him, and he has sort of a hospitality background. His family has hotels in India and in Bangkok. So somewhat off the field, even though he really is not involved in it. But again, at least some expertise we got from there. So that was great. So the 4 of us, we met a few times and we finally thought, okay, let's do this. It was sounding pretty interesting. But to be very honest with you, like I really didn't know whether it would work or not. Like in my head, it made a lot of sense. I really wanted the product. So that's what me and Siddharth would jokingly discuss this, right? That if nothing, at least our food will get sorted. Like we don't know whether this will be a successful food or not, but at least if we run it for 2 or 3 years, we will end up eating healthy, and at least we'll live a healthy lifestyle, right? So that was the idea. So I was sort of in a conflict, like because this was right after my qualification. That's when we thought we should be doing this. And the initial plan was, I wouldn't call it so much of a plan, but yeah, it was a plan sort of that I wanted to do an MBA and then figure out what to do. So I had at least the next couple of years planned. I'd given my GMAT and everything. But yeah, this came up then and we thought, okay, I thought that, okay, we could give it a shot. At worst, at least it is something for my CV, right? For a MBA college that, okay, I tried to do this or whatever. Luckily, I had the luxury of trying this out for those couple of years. Didn't really know where we would be, but good we took that chance, right? That is something. I think that is one important thing that I've learned in these few years, that you often don't know what's going to happen. Like there's a lot of uncertainty in the startup space, which just doesn't come naturally to me to deal with uncertainty. Like just as a person, how I am, I research everything, and then I always tend to make an informed decision where, okay, I know exactly what this path is going to lead me to, and that's how you're trained, right? When you're studying, ये 10 textbook पढ़ लो, पास हो जाओगे, marks अच्छे आएंगे, अच्छा job मिलेगा and all that. So life always seems like a straight road to you. But yeah, as soon as you got into the whole running a business space, you understood like how you don't know most of the things, and you really have to get into it, do it, learn from your mistakes, learn from what's succeeding, and figure it out from there, right? Yeah, but this was probably the first time I learned that, where it was sort of scary. I can joke about it now, but it was sort of scary to leave your job, to leave that MBA, to give up your GMAT score or whatever, and start doing this. Like people would often ask me, CA karke khana bana rahe hai, tiffin service chalana and all that. But whatever, it was something I was passionate about, and it really felt good doing, right? I didn't mind spending how many hours. Like we knew it was going to be tough, obviously, right? So we had 3 CAs and a doctor trying to run a kitchen essentially. So none of us had any cooking experience. We didn't even cook like for an hobby at home, right? We just ate. Like that's the only experience we had with food. So so that was the first task we actually tried to solve. Like when we started it, like when we left our jobs and all that, when we full-time into food Darzee, the first thing we thought as an obvious step, we should get someone on board for food, right? Like a professional chef or someone who owns a restaurant or someone just who has experience in this space. That was the first thing we tried to do. Not a very successful thing, right? I think we met various people for about 2 months. I don't know, like either we weren't great at communicating what our plan was, or people were just not open to the idea. Every meeting was one discouragement after the other. Like I think no one had good things to say. One person, like this is funny because I can never forget this meeting where we are meeting this individual who's a partner in one of the bigger restaurant chains, and he literally told us कि हाँ अच्छा है चालू कर लो, आप सबको पैसा बनाओगे, 1-2 साल आपका टाइम पास हो जाएगा, फिर छोड़ देना. Like that actually felt that okay, I think like it is sort of difficult to just ignore what people are saying, right? Because everyone else is way more experienced than you. We have no idea about the industry and all that. We just have a feeling that okay, this is a good product and it should work. That's a feeling. Everyone keeps telling you that okay, there's a very less chance it's going to work. But yeah, this was another key takeaway from the experience, that people always don't know. Like people could be experienced, but not everyone knows what they're talking about. And if there is a gut feeling, if there is an instinct somehow, it might be worth following it, right? So yeah, that was probably our first failure, wherein we didn't manage to get someone on board for food. But I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately for us, that happened. And then we decided, okay, let's do it ourselves, right? What we would do is get various small chefs, small restaurant kitchens, and start experimenting with formulating our recipes. Like, so what our ideal goal was, one key thing we wanted to solve with food Darzee is change the perception that healthy food is boring. So we wanted to give everyday food just healthier versions of it. So you wouldn't just get recipes off the net for it. So what we would do is take the sample recipes, like the constant recipes, let's say a paneer makhani or a butter chicken or whatever, take the standard recipe and just make it healthy. And keep trying and erroring in the kitchen, right? So most of our early days were spent in the kitchen with chefs just trying, and like that's probably the first time I understood how cumbersome it is to cook. Normally you just judge food, right? Arey, ye acha nahi laga, ye acha laga, but you finally understand how much of an effort goes into it. Like especially for someone like me, I'm a very objective person. I do not understand like not very clear with subjective things, which is food, right? It's an art. You can't just follow a recipe. There are so many variables involved. So that's when I started appreciating the whole process of cooking. But yeah, so we were in the kitchen a lot of the times, and that's when we came across one fundamental problem that we would face, that how do we differentiate ourselves from generic healthy brands? Like there were restaurants selling healthy food, but like I said, they were generic food, right? Not personalized, and very difficult to educate the customers that, okay, this is what we're doing differently. Unless obviously you have huge marketing spends or whatever, and you can really put it out there, okay, that this is how we're doing it differently. But otherwise it would be difficult. So that's when we thought that just to differentiate ourselves, we started with this diet called the ketogenic diet. And quickly give a brief about what the ketogenic diet is. What the ketogenic diet essentially does is we cut out carbs from your body. When I say carbs, it's any grains, right? Rice, roti, any jowar, any form of sugar, fruits, anything. So we cut out carbs from your diet. What this does in your body is normally your body uses carbs for fuel, for energy. If you don't give it carbs, your body eventually starts burning fat for energy. So if you're cutting out carbs, it would give you high fats and a moderate amount of protein. That's basically what a ketogenic diet is. It has various benefits of why it's healthier, but basically why we decided to do this was because that time there was this sort of a ketogenic trend going that people really were getting into the ketogenic diet, and it was very attractive because if you could follow it strictly, you'd really lose weight quickly. Like people tend to lose like about 10 to 12% of the body weight within a month, and also it was, sort of that wow factor that if you see a friend lose 10 to 12 kgs randomly in a month or 45 days, you're obviously going to ask them that, acha, ye kya kiya yaar, aisa kya chal raha hai life mein? So that's why we thought that we will get into that. Like we'll start with the ketogenic diet, even though it is not sort of a sustainable diet, at least for Indian lifestyles, because we are a carb heavy diet, right? Most of our meals are carbohydrate heavy. So not very sustainable for Indians, but that's why we started that. We decided to get into the ketogenic space. Now again, here I'm actually grateful that we didn't get a chef on board, because I've realized that once you have sort of like many of the chefs who have a lot of experience, they're sort of set in their ways. So in the ketogenic diet, like we have to make everything without carbs, right? So it involved some very hideous experiments where sometimes it ended us up eating just blobs of cheese. So I don't know how open chefs would be to trying these various experiments out. But yeah, that's what we did. We took, again, like a pizza and made it in a ketogenic form, made bread out of almond flour, whatever. Now it's pretty common, but let's say 5 years back, it wasn't really easy to come across recipes of the net, which is doable in a commercial level and all that. So we did spend a good 2 or 3 months just in the kitchen, getting recipes, making it in a ketogenic way. Again, without any, actual cooking experience. So we are really grateful to the chefs who helped us earlier, right? So that was our plan initially. So when I say chefs who helped us, what we thought is we'll do is we got in touch with various home chefs, right? Who would, the idea was to have various hubs in the city and to deliver from there. So that's how we started. We ran our experiments in the same kitchens earlier. And probably in June 2017, June 2017 is when we actually launched Food Darzee after a small pilot and all that, running experiments in the kitchen. That's when we officially launched Food Darzee, only again with the ketogenic diet. And the idea was simple. We wanted to provide a solution to weight loss by providing personalized goal-oriented meals at his doorstep, right? That is why the name, right? Food Darzee. So the idea was personalized nutrition, that it is personalized food for you. So that's how Food Darzee started. Now, during the whole first quarter, right, of Food Darzee, like I said, we started with hubs. So one thing we realized was the big challenge in having different hubs as the cooking station was quality control was a big issue, right? We were only the 4 of us and didn't have a lot of employees then, because like Amitji said, we are bootstrapped and we never thought that we want to burn money, and also we were really saving on cost that time, and we were doing everything for the first year. We hardly had 1 or 2 employees. So quality control, we realized, was a big issue. Like if you had to manage cooking at various different spots, we didn't have a lot of knowledge that time that how the hub and spoke model really works, how people actually have quality control that time. We were actually naive enough to think that, okay, we have 4 centers, 4 of us would be at one center full day and we would manage quality at each center like that. So initially we did that, right? So that those days, I would say, were pretty hectic. Like we would probably reach the kitchen at 3 a.m. To see the prep start, stay there till about 2-3 p.m. see the food go off and then actually do the other work, right? Like no employees, manage employee calls, get invoices done, get payments done or whatever. Probably end my day at what 11 or 12, then again get started for the next day at 3. But somehow, because it was something you were building, it didn't really feel that hectic. It just felt, it came naturally to you. Bas karna hai, matlab, no one was forcing you to do it. It wasn't something which, like, it wasn't like an exam or something that you're doing it out of something you want in the future. Something, this is something you wanted to do. So I think that was a big motivator, that at least for me, that if you were building something, I really wanted to work hard for it. No one had to tell me to do it. So yeah, during again coming back to the hub model, right? During the quarter, that's what we realized, that okay, this is probably not a sustainable model. Like, how do you scale this up, right? We need to do this better. So we were anyways then started figuring out whether we should move away from the hub model and move to a central kitchen model. But during this time, when we were having this internal discussion amongst ourselves, so we came across a first major problem in business. Like, that time, till then I didn't know, like, running a business is basically firefighting most of the days. I didn't know that till then. But that was the first time I came across a big fire, so to say. Wherein, so like I said, we have hubs, right? So due to some dispute with the vendors, randomly we realized that okay, this is not going to work out. Like, the hubs aren't going to be with us after the next day, in fact. So yeah, basically what it meant was we'd have to shut our kitchens down the next day and then figure out how to service our customers. So that time, even though we had just started, we had about 50-60 customers, and that was not something we wanted to lose, obviously. Like, we just started off. So that happened, we lost our hub. So at least one good thing that happened is that was probably the first night I actually slept in those 4 months, because next day you didn't have a kitchen to go to, right? So the bright side of that whole experience was, at least that time was okay, I could sleep till 9 or 10 or whatever. But yeah, that happened. So within the next week, we figured out a central kitchen, where we started that off within 4 or 5 days. Luckily, we didn't lose most of our customers. They were pretty understanding and they stuck to us. We told them that this was an issue and all, and whatever, most of them understood, and most of them stuck with us. So again, really grateful for that. So this is when we moved to a central kitchen model. Okay, this was about 4 months into operations. So now this obviously was way better in terms of quality control. You just had to maintain quality at one place. Standardization was much easier, had some sort of leverage in terms of quantities, in terms of economies of scale. But yeah, the obvious hindrance now in a city like Bombay especially is logistics, right? How do you cater the whole city from one place? But the good thing about us is, so we aren't an on-demand service. We are a subscription-based service. When you come to Food Darzee, we plan a diet for you, and then we deliver meals for a subscription. It could be a very small subscription as well. It could be 3 days. It could be a week. It could be a month or whatever. But most people subscribe to us. So the good thing about logistics for us is it was all planned. I didn't have to figure out a problem that, okay, right now I'll get an order from yours, so I need a rider available. And, I didn't have any of those problems. I knew what my orders are going to be for tomorrow, and I just had to plan my routes accordingly. So logistics, even though wasn't ideal from a central location, was not a very big issue for us because of the whole planned deliveries. So yeah, it just made complete sense that, and looking back, it was the obvious choice. But I think while you're executing it wasn't that obvious, and we started with the hub model and then we moved to the central kitchen model. But yeah, it made a lot of sense for us to do that, and we started with that. So we probably ran the central kitchen model for about a year after this, a year and a half. But now the next problem we faced in our operations is now something about food, right? So for food to be hygienic, food cannot be between 5 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius. Like, whenever it's between 5 degrees and 60 degrees, bacterial growth starts happening. So after a point, if you are delivering food from a central kitchen at scale, you can't serve food hot, because what our operations involved was, so it's not like it's just generic food for everyone, right? Food is actually weighed for each individual. Everyone gets the amount of food they actually need. So there's a whole big process of plating after the food is actually cooked. So after you reach a certain scale, obviously, if the person starts plating, food won't remain hot. So that's when we realized we had to again change up our operations. We couldn't serve food hot anymore. So we moved to the flight kitchen model, where what we would do is cook our food, blast chill the food to 5 degrees, and do everything in a cold environment. Like plating is in a cold environment, food is stored in a cold environment, and it's also delivered in cold bags. So the food actually goes cold to our customers at 5 degrees, and then people heat the food. So that again, the big challenge for this whole model is the general notion is it's either frozen food or chilled food, so it might not be healthy, might not be fresh and all that. But again, that is the challenge we took up. Like we thought we can and we will educate our customers. We still lose certain customers who think that it is not healthy, but yeah, scientifically it is as healthy as freshly cooked hot food, right? Because we blast chill it, there's temperature controlled everywhere and all that. But it is a challenge to educate everyone. In the future, we might look to change this model up again, but at least as of now, it's working. Most people are okay with it. So yeah, a year into operations, that's where we finally moved into a model which we are still using, where we cook the food, we blast chill it, and we deliver the food cold. So one good thing that actually happened because of this model is scaling became much easier for us. So we initially only started in Mumbai, right, in 2017. 2019 is when we opened a Delhi kitchen and Pune kitchen, and 2020 we opened a Bangalore kitchen. So Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, we would have similar central kitchens like we had, like our first kitchen was in Mumbai. But in the other cities, like we started Pune, and in 2021 we started Hyderabad, Chennai, Jaipur, and Chandigarh. What we could do was we could actually send food from our bigger cities. Like Pune would be catered from Mumbai, Jaipur and Chandigarh would be catered from Delhi, and Hyderabad, Chennai would be catered from Bangalore. That's essentially how a flight kitchen also works. We don't cook in every city. We would blast chill our food, and in cold vans, you would actually send a food, again, completely maintaining 5 degrees everywhere. And then we would cater to those cities from the hubs, right? So again, quality control became much easier that way. Scaling became easier because with food, what we realized was quality control was the biggest challenge to scale. Like we weren't very capital intensive or anything like that. The biggest challenge was quality control, where we had to ensure that whichever kitchen we opened, the food quality was maintained, right? And it is not something that ek bar bana diya and it is done. So every day there has to be quality control procedures. So the more kitchens you have, the more difficult it gets, right? So yeah, this whole model really worked for us in that way, where we could really cut, copy, paste the smaller cities where we needed just small hubs, just cold rooms everywhere, so that we could store the food and then deliver it, right? So this is finally the model that we're working on even today. Then coming to how we marketed ourselves, right? Probably the first entire year we had no sort of marketing spends. Again, coming from the ideology that we didn't really wanted to burn money. Like I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We've been growing, so that worked out for us, but probably not growing as fast if you're marketing better. Really don't know that, but I think just the background. So all four of us are from family business background, so that whole concept of not making money at a net level just didn't sit right. I don't know whether again it was because we're naive and we had not done this before, but that's how we ran our business. We always wanted to be positive at a net level, and that's how we ran it from the first day. So yeah, initially we never really marketed for about a year and a half. Everything was word of mouth based. So that at least our first hypothesis, right, that the ketogenic diet, if people lose weight quickly, they are going to talk about it. That it was showing that it was all from word of mouth. Like there would be instances where one person doing it in an office would get 4 or 5 other people from the same office, right? So it was just working normally. But after a point, we realized that we should be marketing now. That basic realization came from this one event which happened in our first year, where BuzzFeed, if you have heard of BuzzFeed, so they ran a video on us where Tanmay Bhatt was on a plan, and they were doing this whole video on what Tanmay Bhatt eats. So they did this whole video on food Darzee. We didn't have to pay for it, like a completely organic thing. in I think November 2017 or 18. That's when we realized the power of social media, right? So I think we were at about 80 customers that time, and overnight we went to 250. So we just tripled our base because of one small video. Obviously, the base was very small, but it sort of gave us an idea of how important social media marketing is. That's when we started heavily relying, like about a year later in 2019. That's when we relying on social media for this. We started building a social media presence, started putting content out, and um, yeah, basically started marketing on Google, Instagram, Facebook. Now again, big challenge we faced here. We are three CAs and a doctor, right? We don't know about marketing. So uh, obviously you try to hire for it and all that, but one bad thing about being a bootstrap startup is uh, because of the whole notion that okay, how glorified funding is, you the notion is if you don't have funding, you're probably not doing well, or there's not a lot of stability there or something like that. So hiring sort of becomes a challenge where you can't always get the best people because obviously funded startups are probably paying you more, etc. So we've still date not hired an expert, so to say, in the marketing field. We've so yeah, again, like we did with food, right? We thought, okay, let's do it. We'll do trial and error. We'll figure it out on the way. Again, very difficult as a notion, right? How do you get into something which you have no idea about? But okay, you have to do what you have to do. That's what another thing I learned in this process, that you have to take a chance, right? You won't always know what's going to happen, and you got to figure out on the way sometimes. I don't think that's a very good thing to say, let's say when you talk to investors and all that. Okay, I didn't know what I was doing and it just happened. But yeah, that is the truth. We thought that we'll run trials and we'll figure it from there. Like we saw what was working and just double down there. That was basic ideas. Run experiments, see what's working and double down there. So that's how we started marketing, probably 1.5 years into our journey. Yeah, so next thing so like I said, we started with the ketogenic diet, right? Now 2 years into food Darzee, we obviously knew it is not a sustainable diet, and now we had built a good enough base for us. Like the whole novelty factor of the ketogenic diet, it had done its purpose, and now we finally started introducing other diets which are more sustainable, so to say, to the Indian lifestyle. Any diet, right? A low carb, high protein diet, or a balanced diet where we just control the amount of food you get, does not really control the qualitative aspect of food. A vegan diet, a home style diet, various diets we've introduced during the course of our business. The whole idea being that we want to not just help you lose weight, we also want you to help you maintain that weight. So weight loss or weight maintenance is basically math, right? You burn more calories than what you are consuming, you lose weight. You burn equal calories than what you're consuming, you'll maintain weight. You burn lesser calories than what you're consuming, you'll gain weight. It's basic math. It really doesn't matter what diet you're on. If that math is right, you will meet a goal. So we wanted to be as flexible as possible, so that the most important thing in a diet is what suits you. So any diet, like various diets will suit different people differently. So we wanted to incorporate as many diets as possible so that we can cater to as many people for the longest periods of time. Like that was the goal. Initially, we just started with the ketogenic diet, but now we basically do whatever you want, as long as it's not something completely unheard of. We do whatever you want, and so that we can cater to your goal of meeting your health goal while providing you some sustainability in a lifestyle. So yeah, now what we realized was, after a certain scale, personalizing is a challenge, right? Like if you recollect earlier, what I said was the whole problem of healthy food is, of other people doing healthy food, is they're giving generic food. It's not personalized to you. Now we are solving that problem of providing personalized food. Now, how do you personalize at scale? That was one of the challenges we faced during our operations, during running a kitchen, because obviously I can't, if I have, let's say, now I cater to about 2,500 customers, I obviously can't measure food differently for 2,500 different people and give it to them. Like, for how long can I do that? I'll need huge amounts of manpower, huge amounts of space, and wouldn't make economic sense. So that is probably one of our USPs, that's what we figured how to do. at an operational level, which I believe is one of the barriers to entry, let's say, in our space. Like people often would ask us that if you don't take funding, if you don't burn money, what stops someone big to just enter into your space and, just eat you out, just give massive discounts to your customers, etc. So I don't really believe it is that easy to do at an operational level. Like I know we spent about 2 years in the kitchen, hours and hours, to perfect that okay, this is how the operation should be designed to, so that people actually get personalized meals and we can still keep doing it at scale, right? So that is something we are really proud of at an operational level. That is something we don't believe can be solved by money. It is something which really needs time to do, and that is something we luckily have been able to do. So the future plans now, probably now, like how we are doing weight loss, we really want to target other such goals. Like there's something like diabetes, right? Any lifestyle disease. The basic control to that is changing your lifestyle, to changing your food habits, apart from medication, of course. India has the second largest number of diabetic people in the world, probably because of the population, but still a huge market, right? And they really have to change their lifestyles. That is the best control apart from your insulin medication, etc. So we believe that such lifestyle diseases, because we anyways have the back end sorted, right? We can provide personalized food at scale. Now, only thing we need to do is get a diabetologist, right? Get some diabetic expertise, give some consultations, and then provide the back end for it. So that is what we plan on doing, apart from geographic expansion, that, okay, we will take this food Darzee model to other cities, other countries, hopefully. We get into other goals like weight loss, start targeting diabetes, PCOS, various other diseases, right? So that's what we've been doing, and that's what we plan to do in the future.
Wow. Thanks, Devaj. What a fascinating story. We learned so much about flight kitchen, food temperature, hub and spoke model. My respect and appreciation for my wife has gone up multifold. Food has so much of science behind it. So really thank you for sharing your journey and journey of Food Darzee and the candid perspective which you provided. And what is so fascinating is that all of you, all four of you, coming from a non-food industry background and building such a successful business. So hats off to you guys. I can tell you, while you guys are bootstrapped, but if you guys are looking for investors, there are few. You have won the heart and mind today. So we all are there to partner in the journey. Now over to Q&A session. If anybody has any questions, feel free to post it in the chat box or raise hand, and we will take it up with Devaj. Maybe I'll start with some of the questions from my side, Devaj.
Sure.
You actually simplified the whole dietary regime, saying that the calorie intake and calorie outflow, etc. You have to just maintain a balance to lose weight. But as a fitness enthusiast myself, I want to have killer abs. And many of us on this call, I'm sure, would love to convert their body fat into muscles, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a chartered accountant coming from Kolkata, very difficult to resist rasgulla, pani puris, and all that stuff. So any tips for us, how to go about it? What should we do and not do?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, it is basic math, right? You have to start controlling a little, start exercising a bit more. So the idea is, for everyday lifestyles, is I think the best thing to do is not drastically change your lifestyle. Just make small changes in your existing lifestyle. Let's say if you're not losing weight right now, thoda sa kam khao, thoda sa zyada bhago. Like that is the best way to do it. If you're eating 2 rotis, make it 1.5 or whatever. Because in the end, quantity is the biggest, is the golden rule. Quantity is the best. But after a point, you can't keep reducing quantity. That's when quality of food comes in. So what happens is, if the quality of food isn't good, even though you've eaten enough food, you just feel hungrier. Like if you eat, like, let's say, simple carbs, a lot of white rice, a lot of let's say roti, not wheat maida, and a lot of sugary things, even though you've eaten enough, you just feel hungry. So then that golden rule of eating lesser than what you're burning becomes very difficult to maintain. So after a point, let's say if you've tried everything, that's when you start definitely need to look into quality. Like if you increase protein, like protein satisfies you the most. When I say it satisfies you the most, if you eat 100 grams of protein versus 100 grams of rice, you will feel much more fuller with the 100 grams of protein. So the golden rule of maintaining quantity is easier if you have the quality of food. That being said, two people eating the same amount of calories, burning the same amount of calories will always have the same effect. The quality doesn't really matter. Like after a point it does, but for most parts it doesn't. But when the quantity becomes difficult to control, that's when you really have to concentrate on the quality.
Great. Next question is that many of us hail from business families, but have got into jobs, right? But internally, the blood at times will still shout that, and there is an urge to become an entrepreneur, right? And it's a very different world in terms of risk taking, dedication, perseverance, what it takes, etc. In your view, and you've done it at such an early age, right? What does it take to become a successful one in the new gen economy? And any advice you have for folks on this call?
So I really don't know if I'm qualified for the question. Like I've just been running a business for, 5 years, but I will try. I'll give my experience with it, what I think is required. So I think one of the most underrated things, which probably most people don't talk about, it is luck. That you have to be lucky, you have to do the right things at the right time, and you won't always know what to do when. Like I think luck is important, but what I do believe is you will be lucky if you persevere, right? Like if you keep doing, if you are at it, and so eventually you'll be lucky. Like you won't be lucky the first time, the second time, or the 10th time, whatever, but someday you will, right? It's law of averages. Like if you try, keep doing something, it's not that you'll be unlucky every time. So I do believe luck is very important, but yeah, for you to make the most of your luck, you really have to like be at it. You can't give up on the first sight of failure, or at the first time you face difficulties or whatever, because when you venture into the unknown, like you have to keep troubleshooting, you have to keep firefighting. So and for that reason, like having at least I was lucky, I had co-founders, right? There were various times when I would think, "Arre, bas abhi ho gaya aur nahi karna ye sab chodo. I'll still take a job or join my dad, or whatever, like itna mehnat nahi ho payega." But then they often, like, they would motivate you, like someone would come with a positive outlook, and that always helps. Like whenever you're down, there's always someone there to bring you up there. So yeah, I think perseverance is key. Like you have to be at it. That's it.
You guys work with a lot of celebrities, and for a bootstrapped startup to be able to attract people like Alia Bhatt, Katrina Kaif, Sara Ali Khan, etc., is just remarkable, right? Any insight you want to share, or you can share, that how does their diet differ from the regular diets which all of us are used to?
No, so diet, like I said, right, it's a golden rule. It's calories, right? It's just math. It's the same thing for them. Only thing probably which differs is, like, I think we tend to internally pay a little more attention than every other client. Kuch kharab na ho jaye and all that. Like we, that way we give a little more customer service. But yeah, apart from that, the diet is probably exactly the same. Like nothing which is completely different for them. Yeah.
Devaj, you spoke about the profitability model, personalization, scale, etc. Some of these topics you touched upon.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious that normally when businesses become large, they get the operating leverage and become profitable, etc. Scale gives the benefit. Correct. But personalization is the enemy of scale, right?
Correct.
But you guys have been able to offer personalization, have been able to achieve a scale, but more importantly, become profitable despite these conflicting, offerings, right? Correct. How did you guys achieve that?
Got it. So what we do operationally is, so first thing what we've done is we've bucketed customers. So let's say, okay, so we cater customers right from, let's say, 900 calories a day to 2300 calories a day, and every 100 calories. So we give customers, some customers need 1000 calories, some customers need 1100 calories. So first we bucketed our customers into this, and then how we cater to different buckets is we mix and match the different components of food. When I say different components of food, food is broken down into fats, carbs, and proteins. So we cook the carbs together, the proteins together, the fats together, and then we plate it with different weights. So, for example, you might need 100 grams of a carb with 30 grams of protein and let's say 10 grams of fat. So, you will get that. Your bucket will get that, so to say. And various other buckets will get different combinations. So, the cooking becomes much easier because we cook everything together and then we portion it out during the plating phase. So at the cooking phase, this is how we can very easily scale. We just cook everything together. And for portioning out, the way we bucket our customers is what helps. Like we don't really have to, let's say if you have 2,000 customers, we don't really have to cater to each of them individually. They would fall into the 10 buckets. So eventually we have to cater to 10 buckets through the different combinations we've made. Yeah.
Maybe we move to the Q&A, the question some of the people have posted. Sanjeev, I don't know whether you want to ask or I'm happy to read your question.
It's fine. Amit, you can proceed.
Okay. His question is, how do you compare and compete with competitors like Calorie Care? What differentiates Food Darzee vis-a-vis these competitors?
So Calorie Care, right? Calorie Care existed before we started Food Darzee. So the core differentiation between us and Calorie Care is, at least that time, Calorie Care just had generic plans. They wouldn't personalize food for you. I think they had a small, medium, large, but you had to just decide what plan you have to take. One, I wouldn't know what plan is right for me. And yeah, basically they didn't really provide a nutritional service, though I think now they do. But at least at that time, there wasn't a nutritional service. What we do is, basically, when you come on board with Food Darzee, you have a nutritionist assigned to you. So you're always talking to a nutritionist. So even when you get a diet, a very important part is tweaking the diet based on your results. Like even though I start you on a diet, it makes no sense if a nutritionist is not following up with you to understand whether it's working for you, not working for you, then making changes along the whole period. So that is what we do. Is basically you get a nutritionist who and a cook together. It's not just a restaurant. So that's how we differentiate from this competition, that we don't give generic food. We personalize the food exactly for your needs.
Thanks, David. That really helps.
Yeah, Prakash has asked the question, weight loss comes back faster than what you lose. How do you make sure that you are able to maintain that and not let it come back?
Got it. Yeah, so this is a generic, like this is a normal problem everyone who has trouble with weight faces. It's because of how we think about weight loss, right? We think of it as a destination that, okay, once we reached it, we are good. Like, and now we can just do whatever we want. Like, once you lose, the same thing happened with me also, right? Before I started Food Darzee, I tried the diet on me and I lost about 10 to 15 kgs. And over the course of the next 2-3 years, I gained everything back. So why that happens is, so let's say you lose about 7-8 kilos of weight. So that's when you lose weight, your body requires lesser calories to sustain itself. So again, the golden rule, right? That you have to consume lesser calories than you're burning. It becomes tougher when you're losing weight. So you can't go back to the same lifestyle that you had earlier. You have to sort of tweak your lifestyle a bit. You have to move to a healthier lifestyle, wherein you eat the amount of food that is actually required for you. That's how you maintain the weight. Most people who are losing weight try to lose it very quickly, and then obviously it becomes very difficult to maintain that lifestyle, the lifestyle which made you lose weight. So the plan to actually maintain weight loss is, one, you have to supplement with exercise. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the easier it is to maintain the weight you've lost. Exercise is a must, very essential for maintaining weight loss. Second, it has to be done in a sustainable manner so that you can change your lifestyle and not just do it as a 3-month thing that, okay, I lose weight in 3 months, then I'm done. It doesn't work like that. You are going to gain weight. You have to slowly but steadily shift your lifestyle to a healthier one so you can maintain it.
Dhanpat has asked that, what precautions does one need to take while reheating the food to make sure that you still don't lose the nutritional value?
Got it. So honestly, losing nutritional value is a little hyped. You will hardly lose any nutrition. Like it hardly makes any difference when you're reheating it. But I'm going to say something now which is sort of probably controversial. But actually, the healthiest way to reheat food is in a microwave. The idea is the lesser time it spends under heat, the more nutrition it will preserve. This is only reheating, right? So let's say you can do it on a gas or anything, but that will take more time than a microwave. Yeah, so most people think heating in a microwave is not healthy, but there's enough research done on it to say that it is healthy and it is probably healthier than heating it on gas. But all this is like just a 19-20 ka difference, right? Hardly makes any difference whether you do it in a microwave or on a gas. But yeah, if you had to get technical about it, the lesser time it spends on a heat source, the better it is for it to be for it to not lose its nutritional value.
Okay, now a next type of question from Neeraj. How often and you and your team reviews the MIS, and the request is to see that if they can have access to some of the templates, etc. I don't think we need to get into templates, but more importantly, what kind of KPIs, etc. you guys track at what frequency to make sure that a business at this size and scale scale it up fast and stay profitable.
Got it. So first, the generic KPIs, right? Cash flow is very important. Pure regular P&L, again, very important for us. But what we track otherwise.
Yeah, right.
Is someone saying something? Yeah, sorry. So yeah, the generic KPIs for sure, right? Yeah, generic financial KPIs. But apart from that, for us is, so we are a communication heavy business. When I say communication heavy, there's a lot of interaction with our nutritionists on an everyday basis and all that. So for that becomes very important for us, that how happy are you with the communication, right? That feedback becomes very important for us, because obviously we can't listen to every call. So we've got metrics that, okay, how long was a customer on a call? How often is the communication happening with the customer? Because we realize that the more the customer communicates with us, the higher chance it is that the customer stays on the plan with us. Because like weight loss is not just a physical thing, it's a very big mental thing also. You have to be happy about it. It is a big change for you. So so that the customer feels good about themselves is very important for us. So that is only possible if they're communicating with us. So that is a very important metric for us, that how often is the follow-up happening, how long is the follow-up happening for. Another metric is obviously weight loss, right? The goal that we want to provide our customers, that how many people are losing weight, how much weight are they losing, very important for us. Food feedback, crucial again, we can't taste food in various cities, etc. Ultimate, because food is very personal as well, right? I might love a meal and someone else might hate it. So the idea is to keep majority of our clients happy. So food feedback becomes very important again. So yeah, these are the primary criteria we look at.
Yeah. Neeraj has also asked that, how much of your total process is actually automated, and how has it evolved over a period of time? So
that is something we haven't done well yet, because again, I keep coming back to that. We are 3 CAs and a doctor, so not a lot of tech in our core team. So unfortunately, most of our processes are automated at a process level, but it is still human driven. It is still the maker checker process. Most of them are still done by individuals. Not a lot of it is done by tech, which is something which we really want to solve. That is a problem we are trying to solve currently, that we really want to get tech in. There are various ways to automate kitchens, but we are just finding the right partner to get into the whole process. Yeah.
There was one question. Tell me some of the interesting experiments, or if I can call embarrassing experiment, which you might have had in the kitchen while working at fooddarzee.com.
Yeah, like embarrassing. So we aren't cooks, right? We'd come up with various weird combinations and just try to get it done. So I don't know. Difficult to think of specific ones right now, but yeah, I would say like out of, let's say, if we make 100 dishes, I think we would at least have 150 or 200 of failed experiments. And we just wanted to try it because we thought it'll taste good. Like we were excited about food and we thought it'll taste good, but yeah, it probably wouldn't work out. Like I said, we've often eaten blobs of cheese where either we tried to fry cheese in the wrong way, or I don't know what we were doing, but most of them were around cheese and paneer, because that was the biggest challenge. Getting in a ketogenic diet, vegetarian food is basically paneer and cheese with other vegetables. So we tried to do various things with paneer and cheese. Many of them didn't work out, but yeah, those are most of our embarrassing ones around it. Yeah.
You talk about the fooddarzee.com, the how, the name, relevance of the name in the context of what you guys are offering. It's a very punchy name of the startup. It's quite attractive and very uncommon.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with this name?
Yeah, it was actually very challenging. Like coming up with a name is a much bigger problem than most people, I think, give it importance, right? Like initially, I think when we met, I think we spent about 5-6 months. Every day we would come up with a name and shoot it down, come up with a name, shoot it down, come up with a name, shoot it down. So luckily we came up with the slogan first. Like tailor-made nutrition was a slogan we used for the longest time. That's what we came up with first, and then it just like while saying this, someone just said food tailor, and then it just struck, right? Food tailor doesn't sound good. Food Darzee is what makes sense. Like it just happened during conversation, but I think it took us 6 or 7 months till we actually had a name for ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, the names was also a very embarrassing one. The names we were thinking of doing, but yeah.
It's a pretty interesting name, I must say. I've covered all the questions which are there in the chat box, but if anyone wants to ask any question, feel free to ask Devaj. It's a great opportunity to listen to a startup founder who has built a really strong, successful business in such a short period of time.
Yeah, hi Ashish here.
Yeah, hi Ashish.
Yeah, hi. I have a question in terms of this industry itself. A lot of quick service restaurants, etc., are also becoming very popular, and they are also said to be at infancy. So, how is the trend shaping up towards more healthier diets and healthier food, and the two coexist at the same time? The QSR kind of model as well as this healthy model.
So, I definitely think they can coexist. For various reasons, right? The whole economical side of it, like healthy food will never be as economical as a QSR. Like that is never going to happen, at least not currently. So one aspect, right, that they are going to coexist for sure. Second is, even though people get healthier, the whole notion, right, where people don't think that it's a lifestyle change. People think it's a short-term solution and then they go back to their regular lifestyles. I think that is going to exist as well. Like it is very difficult to change those mindsets where, so people will eat healthy, then they'll eat unhealthy. They'll eat healthy, they'll eat unhealthy. It's a cyclical process. It'll never happen that you're only eating healthy. So even though I do believe people have become more cognizant to their health, like when I say I do believe, obviously, I'm not an expert on it, but just based on my circle, my family circle, my friends, everyone wants to eat healthy. Just based on that, I'm saying this. I do not know. I have not done research on it. But just based on the general mentality of people, I do believe it is something which is going to happen because it's a cyclical thing. You eat healthy, then you go back to it, because food is a very emotional thing, right? If you like McDonald's, you like McDonald's. If you are on a diet, someday you will eat McDonald's. Like you won't not eat it. So and that is fair enough. You have to be happy. Like even if you're on a diet, the most important thing is sustaining a diet. So whatever makes you happy, you do that. You can always make up for it.
Okay. And one second question: how do you ensure freshness of the ingredients, and what kind of wastages do we see in this business?
So freshness, we have very strong procurement processes, right? There are SOPs for various ingredients that at what level should it be first accepted while procuring. Then again, very strong storage processes, right? The cold storage, whatever needs to be in cold storage has to be in cold storage. There are audits done by external companies which ensures this is actually happening. That is one for ingredients. And in terms of, sorry, what is the second part of the question?
The wastage, the
Wastage,
perishable.
yeah, sorry. So for us, wastage isn't a very big deal because we have planned meals. We aren't on demand. So I know what my meals are going to be tomorrow. So hardly we waste about 1-2% of our ingredients, but not a lot at all. Not very significant.
Sure, thanks.
For these, some of these businesses, scaling up, it's a challenge, right? Because
Correct.
many of the players we have seen achieve a scale and then thereafter kind of stagnate there. What are the plans and thoughts around to make it really a large nationwide, business which might be present in tier 2, tier 3 towns, etc.? What's from a growth strategy point of view, any thoughts there?
So I think operationally, we think we have most of it covered, but what we really need to work on is the tech side of it, right? To really scale now, we need to really get tech on at a consumer level as well. They need to have a better experience. Like I said, we are communication heavy. There has to be tech there for quality control to make their lives easier, right? And tech at an operational level where kitchens have to have a lot more automation so that in the end, it comes down to quality control. And with more automation, quality control can be better. So with food scaling, now we have a processes. Now to ensure those processes are being followed, we need tech there. Because how long can you, rely on manual intervention to ensure the processes are being followed? But yeah, the idea is now we have a processes. Now once we have a good tech backend, what we're working on now, we can really then just cut, copy, paste this model in other cities.
Dhanpat has asked that, have you explored sports athletes, the entire segment as a separate segment and dietary plans for them?
So we haven't as of now yet, because most of that segment works in terms of sponsorships, etc. So we haven't set out a budget for that yet. Again, probably because we don't have experience in it, so we can't see a like-to-like, cost benefit analysis. We do not really know how to see that, okay, whether the sponsorship worked, didn't work. We don't really know how to assign benefit to that expense. That's why we haven't done it yet. But yeah, it is something we do explore. Like we keep having conversations, but we haven't done it at any considerable level yet.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please, Ravi.
Sure.
Devaj, so how do you see fooddarzee.com, say, after 5 years?
After 5 years, good question. So, yeah, hopefully we are catering many more goals apart from weight loss. That is one goal we really want to do. Want to be in countries apart from India for sure. Yeah, like Dubai is a market we really is the first market we really want to get into. Just makes sense. But yeah, the idea is to what we want to be is like whenever somebody thinks of a health goal and it involves food, they should think of Food Darzee first, right? That is the brand recall we want to build. That whether it is weight loss, whether it is diabetes, whether it is muscle gain for that matter, whether it's just eating healthy. If it is a food related problem, we want to be there, and we hope that you will think of us then. Yeah.
Devaj, can I ask one question?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So Devaj, one thing which I realized, as a foodie is, food is a very individual choice. Tastes and preferences are different for everyone, right?
Correct.
And you are trying to provide a solution which is one, of course, quite oriented, focused on, let's say, reducing weight or, individual needs. How do you manage this and the taste? This balance is very important, right? I want to eat healthy food, but at the same time, it should stuck in my mouth as well, right? So, and I'm sure you would be getting a lot of feedbacks around it and all that. So if you could share something around this, it would be,
Yeah, sure. So that is basically the problem we are trying to solve, right? How to provide healthy food which is tasty, because if it's not tasty, no one's sticking to a diet. It's not sustainable at all. So there are two aspects to taste. One is taste in itself is very personalized. Like you said, like what I love, you may not love. So what we try to do for this is try to cover the majority, right? So initially we would feel very bad when someone would give us a bad feedback about food, but we often we quickly realize that you can't keep everyone happy. As long as we're keeping the majority of our customers happy with the taste of the food, we are good, right? So one thing for this is we provide a lot of personalization. Like you can tell me, okay, don't send me Indian food, only send me Indian food, only send me continental food. I don't like zucchini. Like we provide a lot of personalization. So that helps, I'm sure, where if you don't like a certain kind of food, we won't send it to you. Like that is one level of how we deal with generic taste. And now how we deal with taste and health, right? So that involved a lot of trial and error. Like how do you make a paneer makhni with enough masala, enough oil, but still keep it healthy, right? So that just basic, again, it comes down to math actually, where you keep trying with different ingredients. If it's healthy, it's healthy. Otherwise, then if it's tasty, it's passed. If it's not tasty, okay, try another method. That's it. Like you have to keep trying. There's no two ways to it. There's no easier way to it. Take a tasty recipe, make it healthy, and keep trying around it. That's it.
Okay. Great.
Devaj, what's the special offer for all the Gitanjali Express members who are attending this call today?
Whatever they need, whatever plans they need, it's all for them. Yeah. I'm so grateful to be here. So I'm happy to provide whatever you need.
Hi, Amit. This is Arvind here. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead, Arvind.
Okay. Devaj, are there any alternate revenue models or additional sort of revenue extensions that you can think of? Perhaps things like a do-it-yourself at-home diet. Could you license some of your recipes? Is it possible to control that? What kind of scale is available to you beyond the physical delivery of food?
Got it. Yeah. So the idea is now what we want to do is we want to provide fulfillment, right? So the problem with weight loss right now is, or weight loss or any lifestyle diseases, so you have expertise readily available. Like you'll have a lot of nutritionists available. You'll have, let's say, expertise on the net available, which is dangerous, but it is available. The problem is fulfillment. Like if I get a diet, I don't know how to fulfill it correctly. So the plan in the future is to provide fulfillment at various levels. Like right now we are fulfilling it at the physical level, we're actually delivering food. But eventually we do want to provide do-it-yourself kits, right? Where let's say if you're not in the city, if you want to cook food at home, we will provide you the recipe and the ingredients, you cook it yourself. Or let's say if you don't want the ingredients as well, if you just want the recipes and the meal plan, we'll do that as well. Or if you want a combination, right? Twice a week, send me food, other days just tell me what to eat. We'll do that as well, right? For various reasons, you might want fulfillment at different levels, but the ultimate goal is to provide fulfillment at whatever level you want, whether it is actually getting the food or just the meal plan or something in the middle or a combination of everything. Yeah, I do believe that there's a lot of scope for it. For some reason, like the specific example you asked for, the do-it-yourself kits haven't worked in India. But if you look in the West, right, there are companies like HelloFresh, right? So, which is a very, very big company. I think about 3 billion euros, and their main business is kits. But as of now, I think in India, it is much easier to cook yourselves or with the help or whatever. So that's why do-it-yourself kits don't really work right now. Most of the companies just started have shut down. But yeah, the idea is to provide fulfillment at other levels apart from just providing the food as well.
Devaj, I think we've already overshot by 20 minutes.
Okay.
It shows how engrossing and engaging the conversation has been. We could just go on and on, but we'd like to seriously thank you from the bottom of our heart to take out time on Saturday and share your perspective. I'll ask Prakash Bagla to give you a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for this opportunity. I think it's been a very, very intriguing session. Personally, I have not attended many, but I think as a subject, food as a subject is, is very personal, very close to everyone, right? And we all who comes from eastern part of India, I think, our first motto in life is to have good food, and then the second come anything else. So Devaj, it's it's been mesmerizing, personally for me, and I'm sure for everyone, to hear your story. I joined 5 minutes late, but frankly, I didn't wanted to ask any questions from I didn't had any questions for you, but I really love to keep hearing you, and I didn't really wanted to stop anywhere, right? And I can tell you with my personal experience, I'm into a business where my job is to meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and I can tell you, it's mesmerizing. It's rare for everyone to everyone who can narrate their side of the story in such an interesting manner. I think food as a space is very, very interesting. And the way you have gone about doing it as an entrepreneur, it really takes huge amount of pain uh, to really build a business. And entrepreneur lives every day, and he himself a lot of times, and this is what my belief is, he himself really doesn't know what is there for him in the future. What is really driving him is this sheer passion and commitment, to really do something. And we have seen many surprises. So we really wish you all the very best in whatever is your dream which you are chasing. And I would really love to come and meet you sometime somewhere, and hear more about around the business and all that. That is another part of it. But very interesting session. Some of the aspects which you mentioned, frankly, as a common man, you really doesn't know that food cannot be served between 5 degrees and 60 degrees, right? That was like completely, there was so much of misnomer around this food and all that, right? This is like a real eye opener, right? And something which you said, like that around food, they in everyone's life, people have their own notions that this is good, this is bad, right? And we all carry these notions through generations, right?
Yeah,
But
true.
one thing which you are trying to do is break those notions, bring it like what is real fact. And I was just while you were talking, I was just going through your website. I think it's very interesting, right? It's very interactive. And I wish you all the very best, from the entire Gitanjali fraternity. And thank you so much. Thank you, Amit, for this, moderating this session for us. I know, you have an opportunity to keep meeting a lot of entrepreneurs. Your experience, your, the way you made this session interesting for us was great. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. It was thank you. I don't know. I don't know if I actually deserve to come and talk in such a group where people have so much experience and so much more knowledge than me. But yeah, I did. I gave my experience. I hope it was fruitful and interesting, and really an honor to come to allow me to come here and talk. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amit.
Last but not the least, Amit, I suggest that why don't you organize one Gitanjali Group's visit to his workshop in Mumbai?
Yeah, Devaj. So
Yeah.
there's more demand coming, and today you will see the spike in the number of subscribers as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
We'll separately catch up and see if there is something visit, etc. we could organize of the members of this family. But really thankful to you for your time. Great investment of Saturday morning.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.